The story begins by introducing us to Ethan and Emma, who are anxiously driving toward a safe location. The news on the radio is alarming, a lethal virus is spreading, and the broadcaster advises the public to find shelter. As Ethan and Emma discuss how to reach their destination, they suddenly get into an accident. In the morning, Ethan wakes up disoriented, realizing a lot of time has passed. He discovers he's in the aftermath of another accident. Dazed, he exits the car through the passenger door and sees a trail of blood that appears to belong to Emma. In a panic, Ethan calls her name and searches the area, but there's no response. The surroundings display signs of chaos, abandoned houses, wrecked cars, and disturbingly quiet streets suggest that a considerable amount of time has passed since the outbreak. Desperate messages for help are visible on some rooftops. While searching, Ethan notices a truck approaching and signals for it to stop. The man in the truck bed, armed with a gun, asks if Ethan is lost. Ethan explains that he woke up at the crash site and is unsure of his location. Suddenly, the man aims his gun at Ethan. Just as he is about to fire, a shot rings out from another direction, missing its target and causing the armed man to misfire. Ethan swiftly ducks behind a wall as more bullets are fired. The armed man shoots wildly, attempting to hit the unknown shooter. Soon, both he and the truck driver are hit and drop to the ground. Ethan feels a momentary relief at seeing the men who threatened him now lying still, but his relief quickly fades. However, the mysterious shooter turns out to be a woman named May. She finishes off the fallen man with a final shot and warns Ethan about the dangers of being alone here. While adjusting a mechanism on the truck, she ignores Ethan's attempt to explain and instead demands his help. As they try to lift the dead man's body, Ethan unexpectedly faints just before they succeed. He wakes for a moment in the truck bed as it drives off, but before he can comprehend what's happening, he blacks out again and dreams of Emma being taken away. Ethan wakes up in a bed and immediately calls out for Emma. He makes his way to the kitchen, where he finds May. She asks what he remembers, and after some effort, he recalls trying to reach another location with his girlfriend, Emma. However, he can't remember anything more and is shocked by the world's condition, noticing news clippings on the wall. May explains that everything happened years ago, and scientists believe it was nature's way of restoring balance by eliminating humanity. She adds that the place runs on solar energy. Just then, the power goes out. May steps outside to investigate, warning Ethan to stay inside and not touch anything. Ignoring May's instructions, Ethan steps outside and discovers they are on a farm with a breathtaking view. As he explores, he notices a nearby stable and spots what looks like a human skull wrapped in spider webs, strangely moving. Terrified, he hurries to inform May. Without concern, May dismisses the skull, saying, "It's just Myrtle," and sarcastically warns Ethan to keep his distance. Ignoring the odd encounter, Ethan notices the old solar panels. Recognizing their function, he asks if he can inspect them. After spotting the issue, he manages to fix it but almost loses consciousness again. Ethan works hard to hide his surprise at May's lifestyle, but can't hide his astonishment when she pulls a dead possum from a trap, declaring that dinner will be great tonight. As they enter the house, she secures several locks on the door and warns Ethan not to snoop, explaining that all the rooms are filled with traps. He begins to ask about the types of traps but stops mid-sentence when he sees her quickly draw her weapon and aim it at him. His astonishment grows as she places the gun in his hand and asks him to pull the trigger. When he refuses, she congratulates him for making the right choice, revealing that there are tricks even with the weapon. Noticing the exposed red part of her device, he realizes he would have been in serious trouble had he pulled the trigger. After dinner, Ethan thanks May for her hospitality and says he must continue his search for his girlfriend. But May isn't willing to let him leave without repaying her. She asks for his help to generate energy by pedaling on her exercise bike. As he works up a sweat, she enjoys a drink and plays a record on the phonograph. When he mentions searching for Emma, she cuts him off, urging him to dance with her. Ethan feels awkward, becomes more uncomfortable. Behind her tough appearance, it becomes clear that May is lonely and seeking companionship. Each time Ethan tries to leave, May proposes a new activity. After they dance, she suggests playing a card game. Finally, late at night, she insists that he can't go outside at this hour, claiming it's too dangerous. She promises to help him search for Emma the next day and shows him to the guest room. As soon as May falls asleep, Ethan begins to think about his girlfriend, who must be worried about him. His memories are unclear and come back in jumbled flashes. He remembers that their destination was a cabin by a lake, and their plan was to go there directly if anything went wrong and they became separated. Ignoring the warnings about going out at night, Ethan chooses to take May's truck. He understands that the road to the cabin is long and that there are no other cars in sight. As he drives, tiredness sets in, and he almost loses control. A sign on the road reassures him that he's close. He briefly loses consciousness and then finds himself parked in front of the cabin. The cabin door is secured with boards, and no one responds when he yells for his girlfriend. He takes off a board, breaks the glass to unlock it, and enters the cabin. He calls out again, but it's not Emma who appears, it's a woman named Jolene, with a boy named Sam watching from behind the couch, looking tense. Jolene aims a gun at him, causing him to drop his crowbar. Ethan soon realizes why Jolene is on high alert when heavy footsteps announce the approach of an unwelcome visitor. A human-plant hybrid creature appeared at the door. Jolene hurries to shut it, and Ethan helps her as the creature pushes with surprising force. When they finally manage to slam the door shut, its monstrous fingers roll across the floor. But thanks to Ethan's earlier break-in, the creature smashes through another window and grabs Jolene's head, breaking down the rest of the door. Jolene drops the gun in shock, and when Ethan tries to use it, he discovers it's unloaded. He then grabs a hammer from the floor and strikes the intruder repeatedly until it finally collapses. Jolene lays the boy down while Ethan watches the creature through the window, astonished that it continues to move despite the numerous hammer strikes. Jolene remarks that the zombies in this area are at an advanced stage and resemble plants more than humans. Noticing Ethan's broken arm, she asks how he managed to splint it. Ethan replies that Emma is a doctor. Speaking of his girlfriend, he shares his last memories and trying to recall the most recent news. The virus had a plant composition, and when the infection started spreading quickly, the couple chose to take refuge in an isolated cabin. Jolene tells Ethan she will keep watch while he rests but warns him that she won't hesitate to kill him if he harms her or the boy. That night, Ethan experiences more horrific nightmares. However, this time, waking brings no relief. Ethan discovers his face in a spread of blood. The surroundings are filled with devastation. Among the shattered furniture and glass fragments, Jolene's body lies still. Ethan stumbles out of the cabin and spots a red-haired woman feeding on someone who has fallen. She doesn't look like the zombies from the previous night, appearing as if she had been infected more recently. As she moves away, Ethan approaches the victim and realizes it's the boy, Sam. He recognizes him. When the red-haired woman suddenly comes up next to him, she doesn't attack. Instead, she seems to want to talk but can only make weird noises until a gunshot suddenly takes her down. May comes in. The red-haired woman groans loudly as May approaches and shoots her again. When Ethan sees May aiming at Sam, he asks if that's really needed. May says it is, explaining that both will get up again soon, and her shots just give them time to escape. While May goes into the cabin to deal with Jolene, Ethan spots a birdhouse with a symbol like Emma's tattoo. When he decides to check it out, the front of the birdhouse comes loose, showing a bundle inside. At this point, May realizes that Ethan can't remember anything from the previous day. He barely hears her when she introduces herself because he is concentrating on the bundle. Inside, he discovers a cell phone, and when he looks at it, he finds a video of Emma crying and recording a message for him. In the video, Ethan's girlfriend says his memory problems are getting worse and that she doesn't know how much longer she can stay strong. Ethan can be seen sleeping behind her. Emma explains that the world has changed and people are not the same, but just as she is about to give him an important message, the battery runs out. Ethan screams in frustration, and May urges him to be quiet, warning that loud noises could bring the creatures. She says she has a phone charger and asks him to follow her. Ethan doesn't suspect anything wrong with May's invitation or how she got to the cabin since he truly can't remember driving the truck there. When he compliments the truck like it's new to him, May complains that she can't use it because an idiot left the battery on. Resigned to ride her bicycle home, she bends down to pick it up but her glasses fall to the ground. Seeing the broken lens, May mentioned about having to kill many people to get those glasses. Not sure if she's joking, Ethan tries to be nice and explains he has amnesia. May replies she knows that, saying they already know each other. After pedaling several kilometers, they finish the last part on foot, passing by zombies in various stages of transformation. Ethan tries to strike up a conversation and asks May if she's married. She doesn't feel like talking and simply says her partner is dead. As they enter the city, Ethan suddenly stops at a gas station. The building sparks a memory. He remembers arriving with Emma. When they get out of the car, she doesn't notice a zombie coming until it's too close. Ethan screams to warn her and misses the first shot but takes down the zombie with the second. Emma looks surprised by his bravery, which annoys him a bit. Then, the zombie grabs his arm, and the memory suddenly ends. Back in the creepy home, May feels something is off and asks for quiet, yelling threats with her gun ready. She finds a man in the yard who introduces himself as Tom. He is looking for his wife and says he'll accept any charity. May takes his gun and makes it clear that she doesn't trust strangers but offers food in exchange for assistance. The two men spend the afternoon cutting wood while she prepares a meal, keeping an eye on the window. During a break, Tom lies about needing to relieve himself and sneaks off to get his hidden second gun. May offers lemonade to her helpers and invites them inside. While Tom washes his hands, she tells Ethan to say he isn't hungry. He doesn't understand but thinks it's better to listen and tries to hide his growling stomach. Tom shows a picture of his wife, Fran, who went missing while exploring the area 10 days ago. The last thing she told him was that she found a house that looked a lot like this one. As he listens to Tom, Ethan starts to feel dizzy and eventually faints. Tom takes this chance to hold May at gunpoint and grab her gun. She stays calm during the attack, watching as the medicine she put in the food slows down his movements. Tom soon realizes he has been tricked, and May makes it quick with a hit to his head. A few minutes later, Ethan wakes up and notices that May is gone, but he hears her voice saying she will be back soon. At the same time, he sees the front door open, and two armed people walk in. One of them tries to wake Tom, calling him by name, and signals for Ethan to be quiet. When May returns with a syringe, the intruders grab her and tie her to a chair. She says she is diabetic and insists that the injection is insulin, but no one believes her. Tom wakes up and calls his partners by the names Fox and Wolf. He says he will search the whole house until he finds proof that Fran was there. Before he starts, he warns Wolf that the hostage is hard to handle. Ethan joins him in the search, and Tom tries to convince him that May has done something to both Fran and Emma. In the living room, Wolf asks what's in the barn, and May replies that it's just dirt. Seeing the worry on her face, he decides to go check it out. Still very weak and confused, Ethan doesn't believe Tom's theories until he sees Emma's necklace on the bedroom floor. Furious, Tom runs down the stairs with a suitcase and dumps everything onto the table. There are several cards, wallets, papers, and random things, a collection that can't possibly belong to just one person. It looks more like the result of a long search, and the different pairs of glasses show that she wasn't joking when she told Ethan how she got them. Then Fox points out Fran's necklace among the items, and Tom becomes completely upset. At that moment, Ethan walks up with a gun and demands that May tell the truth about Emma. She replies that the girl has been dead for a long time but denies being responsible for it. Fox decides to join Wolf, who is breaking into the barn with an axe. Once inside, he sees that the barn has been turned into a kind of hospital and recognizes the patient in the bed. It's one of his friends who also went missing and now has no arm. Meanwhile, Tom is shocked to learn that Ethan has amnesia and asks him how he broke his arm. May is forced to tell the truth and explains that Ethan has also died. At that moment, Wolf runs out of the barn to warn Tom but trips on a trap, causing an explosion. His body lands right next to Myrtle, who quickly starts to eat him. Realizing his friends are gone, Tom decides to kill May for good, not noticing he's using her gun. The shot blows off Tom's arm, and Ethan reacts just like Myrtle. His eyes change, and he rushes at Tom, eating him while May breaks free from the chair. A few minutes later, Ethan starts to feel sick, and she comforts him in a gentle voice, saying he won't remember any of this. The next day, we see that what she said is true when Ethan wakes up and doesn't recognize her at all. May just says that they are running low on food and need to go out and hunt. As he gets out of bed feeling dizzy, a new memory hits him. He sees himself walking with Emma to May's house, which looks much nicer. The man chopping wood is the same one who shows up in Ethan's nightmares. His name is Kai, and he warns them that his daughter Caroline is on the porch with a gun aimed at them, just to be safe. Emma explains that they had an accident on the road and asks for shelter or at least some food. Kai agrees to help but first wants to make sure they aren't infected. The check is quick, and he doesn't notice Ethan's broken arm. While talking to his daughter, Kai repeats their family saying, which teaches them to trust only after checking things out. The girl accidentally says this is important because of what happened to her brother, Bobby, but her father ignores it. He chooses to let Emma and Ethan stay, and they have a short talk in the living room. Kai shows he is very religious and has strong opinions. He doesn't like the idea that the virus is nature reclaiming what is hers. He believes it's a divine message that people need to go back to basics like faith and family. When the memory ends, Ethan is outside the house, helping May with the hunt. He looks at his left arm and sees the heart drawn on the cast. His mind flashes to other images where the heart is always red, with counting marks below. Now, the heart is green, and the count reads 20. May turns when she hears Ethan load the gun. He tells her she got the heart color wrong, and he is surprised when she says the red pen ran out, realizing it has happened many times. The truth is that Ethan was bitten on the arm the day he saved Emma, and that's what the cast has been hiding. May explains that each time he eats, it stops him from changing into a plant. Ethan's thoughts return to when Kai took them in, and we see that his wife isn't May but a woman named Sarah. When Ethan starts feeling sick, Emma makes up an excuse to get him upstairs while the family prays. She tells him to stay strong and promises never to leave him. Emma then returns to the table alone to thank Kai and Sarah for their kindness. But Kai suddenly pulls out a gun and tells Sarah to take Caroline to the yard. Surprised, Sarah hesitates but follows his order. On the way to the door, Sarah glances upstairs. Kai orders Emma to keep her hands on the table, accusing her of using strangers to sustain Ethan, who he believes is already lost to plant man amnesia. Unaware of his wife's movements, Kai doesn't see Sarah quietly ascending the stairs with their daughter. By the time they reach the bathroom, Ethan's condition has worsened. Sarah realizes, too late, that they made a big mistake. Kai's attention shifts to his wife's scream, allowing Emma to stab him. They wrestle until he smashes her face into a plate and throws her down. Emma grabs the gun and fires, killing him. Ethan feeds on the others, only to scream in horror, which Emma hears. As he remembers her face from that day, he realizes she kept her promise. Life has been hard for Ethan, he must eat regularly, and rotten food is useless to him. The barn serves as a hospital where she keeps some living victims to take small portions from each time. As time passed, Ethan no longer recognized her when he woke up, so she hid her tattoo and changed her name to May, using the same letters from her original name. Devastated by this realization, Ethan claims he's a monster, but she disagrees. She believes that humans are the ones who have become obsolete and are facing extinction, while the infected are now the dominant species. Ignoring her explanation, Ethan insists that this must come to an end. May agrees, stating that she doesn't have the strength to continue but has already tried and it didn't work. Standing alone on a hill, Ethan decides to test it out and finds that what she said is true, like the other creatures, he simply can't die. So, May opts for a different approach, letting Ethan see her as the woman he loved. She surrenders herself completely, knowing he won't be able to control his instincts. The transformed young man bites her uncontrollably, and before long, they are reunited, but now as equals.